Welcome to AI Coding Unleashed. Today we're going to be looking at databases and how AI has made databases fun, as if they weren't already fun. Come on. We'll be using AI to generate an application from literally a blank idea through to a working application which has got backend database using Superbase and a little front end that's running there. And we'll show you each step of the way. We'll show you some tricks to make that happen a lot faster and in a scalable way. And we'll show you some sort of some really interesting ways that I haven't seen anywhere else. So hopefully this is useful for you guys. Okay. So one of the main things that we do when we put together one of these systems is we use a team of AI experts. Now, depending on what we're doing, we'll spend some more time with different ones of these experts. But typically we would run our prompt for a product manager through to the data architect and project planner. Today, we'll be focusing particularly on the data architect and the project planner side, and we'll show you how the output of these prompts gives you a really, really targeted way of developing code. It's possible to download the information from this material. So at the end of this video, I'll show you a link to that, and it will be in the description below. So jump on there. Now, this session is going to talk you through, as I said, some approaches to make database design easier. I personally love to go down the hard path. It seems to be a bit of a problem. But over the years, I've learned that if there's an easy path there, and AI does open up a lot of easy paths, then it's one that's worth choosing. In this case, I hope by the end of this video to convince you that what's been shown here is the easy path, and we'll actually take you through showing how that works, and you'll see the coding come together. So what is it that I'm talking about here? Well, we have, when you're looking at a database, you have the database itself, which traditionally is interacted with through SQL. SQL is quite a difficult language to get your head around. It's quite brittle as well. And so over the years, what's been built is object relational maps in different types of languages, or ORMs. An ORM enables you to interface to your SQL database using code, and AI excels at writing code. So suddenly we have an easy way using AI to interface to databases. We can define a databases with ORM. We can write to them. We can read to them. We can do all the CRUD operations that you would normally do. It just makes it really easy. And I'm going to show you this, and you'll see at the end of this, you'll be like, this is the way that I was looking for to make all this sort of stuff easy. So stick around and we'll show you what that looks like. Now, 5 minutes before this video started, I was like, what's the little application that could be done? And I did a ChatGPT search and said, what's a nice application that could be done that will demonstrate putting together a database? We came up with TacoQuest. So TacoQuest it's been built in half an hour, so be easy on us, but it's got a full working backend database running on Superbase. It's got a front end, and it's got a well-designed schema that we'll be taking you through. What TacoQuest is at this point in time, after the full half an hour of coding, is an application where you can come and look at the tacos around you. You can jump in and see that the whole application is not working at this point in time. We can rate them by different areas, and we can see that we've got like a list of information there. This data is actually sitting on a backend database. It's where it's been pulled from, and we've got all the information in there. And I'll show you how this gets into the database. And then back on the front end, we've got the ability to look at the locations that these are found, and again, we can bring up those cards. And that looks pretty good. Now, if we spent another couple of hours on this, we'd have an actual functional app, but we only spent a bit of time to demonstrate the database side of things, so it's still a little rough. So we built an application, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like. We did that through a number of approaches. So first of all, and this was as an educational method, we showed in Python how to define a SQL model and why you would choose SQL model. We generated mock data. So all that data you saw was just generated as mock data. And then we wrote that to SQLite as a way of testing that it would work, and it would work okay. So again, running the SQLite DB viewer here, we first of all sort of jumped in and saw that all of the data that we wanted was in there as we expected, and that was a quick way to develop it. and then we were able to sort of move it across to Supabase. Having got that working in Supabase, we then switched to Node.js, and that was where we defined our Prisma models. And from there, we had an ORM that was Node.js based to interface to the Supabase database. And then we hooked it up to read and write. We polished a little bit, interface up a little bit, but we ran out of time. It's a 1.5 hour coding session, and the time wasn't long enough to sort of get it past that. With a couple more hours, we'd get to a point of being pretty good. Just in terms of object relational maps, you've got a couple that we looked at. These are sort of the leading in each of the areas. So for Python, SQL model is what we've been using. SQL model is fantastic because it has built-in pedantic validation that goes with it. Traditionally, people would use SQLAlchemy, which is good, but then you'd have to go and write your pedantic class on top of that, sort of double handling. SQL model gets rid of all those problems. In Node.js, the code was developed in Prisma, and we'll have a look at what the code looks like in a second, and you'll see that it's really quite readable. Prisma is great because it lets you keep your databases up to date, lets you migrate them as they change, and it's just a really, really nice way to manage an enterprise level database. So these are the two things we explored in the coding session, and I'll show you sort of what that looked like. It's just worth describing a little bit here the databases and why these are chosen. And SQLite, fantastic, as most people know, because it's lightweight and it's portable, super quick to set up, and so you can sort of test that what you've got in place is quite good. Supabase takes just a little bit more work to get running, not an awful lot, but it's full enterprise level once you've got it up and running. So you've got PostgreSQL, full backend suite. You've got instant APIs. So once your data tables are up, there's APIs to them just right out of the bat. So this is fantastic. It solves so much problem. There's vector embedding support for RAG, and then a whole lot of stuff that supports enterprise level databases. So this is what sort of my go-to when I'm developing, and this is what we've run through in this application. There'll be a number of videos where we kind of go through this and show you guys the details of how this works. Coming back on the team of AI experts, we've got some prompts we run, which create the specifications for products that we develop. So right from product manager through to project planner. The prompts I'm about to show you are sort of a simplified version of what's the full one are. The full ones are in the download. It's in the description. So jump onto there and you'll be able to get access to the full set of prompts. These prompts really are pretty good, and I'll show you in a second what they sort of generate. So just to give you an idea, and again, this is a simplified version of the prompts. The product manager will sort of say, this is who you are, these are your instructions, produce for me an output, which is a product requirements document, and that's in Markdown. And each of these documents is in Markdown, and we feed that into our AI from there. So we've got a number of these. I won't dwell on these because we're not sort of focused on UX or solution architecture at this point so much as we were on the data architecture side. So the data architect was tasked with developing a schema for our TacoQuest application. And if we have a look at what the schema was that was developed, we can see this is the output of the data architect's prompt. So he came through, was given the information of TacoQuest, and gave it a little bit of a summary, and out of that created the entity relationship diagram, all done by AI. We can then see this. We can edit this diagram if we want, the design if we want, and sort of run it through a few passes. In this case, we sort of accepted it. And then we also got the SQL model. So this is the ORM mapping to that database. At no point have we written SQL in this. We've just written the Python SQL models. And then we've got this all described here. Beautiful thing about SQL model is it describes your relationships, your foreign keys, your primary keys, all that sort of stuff, and it makes it very, very easy to interface to your data. We also generated the Prisma schema, which is what's used in Node.js. And here you'll see the structure is a little bit different. The Prisma language is a little bit different to SQL model. It's quite a simple language to read. And you create these schemas, and then that's what Node.js applications use to write to the database. So super easy to kind of get all this stuff going. So that's what we've got. And then that's the output from our product architect. From the product architect, we then went and passed the next information into the project planner. And the project planner is tasked with taking in all those previous documents, the product requirements document, the user interface document, solution architecture guide, and the data architecture plan, and producing a plan. And the key thing about this plan is that we make sure that all the documents are there, and then we break it down into a series of things which are check marks that we can work through. Now, each of these items we request when it's generated that there's a checkbox against it. And let's just bring this back, this code view back here, and we'll have a look at what that looks like. The plan that we've got here, this is what's been produced by this particular query. So it's a step-by-step guide. So it gives us the project structure before we've even started to write a line of code. It tells us what the output should be. Now, in this case, we were writing Python to start with, so it gave us a Python output. Later on, we did Node.js, we got a similar sort of thing. And then it gave us all the phases, and the checkboxes initially were unchecked. And then as we worked through the project, it kind of ticked them off. So what we did over the course of 50 minutes was we set up our project. Fantastic. We configured a database setup, initially working off SQLAlchemy. We then jumped into database modeling. So this was where we defined the models, made sure they were all correct, generated the mock data, and this was the point at which we could sort of see that the data was looking pretty good. There's a little bit of back and forth testing. There's a few errors to sort through, but we got to a point where that was all working okay. And then we didn't do the documentation, shame on us, but there is a fair bit of documentation throughout the code. There is a pretty good README. It'd come back, and this is a check box we haven't done, so we would come back and it would be a good developer, and we would do our documentation. But because we were limited with time, we then went on to Superbase integration. So this was the point where we took the data, which was in SQLite, and we migrated it to Superbase. And I'll just show you what that looks like here. So here we've got our tables in SQLite, in Superbase, and all of the information was in there. This was done with a bit of code to sort of push that across into the database. So we have a pretty robust plan to follow. We had a nice data architecture to follow, and we had that because we had followed through from our team of agents that had given us some information to follow through. I call these agents, they're just prompts really. So now this will give, as I said, there will be the ability to download these at the end of the video. This video is part of the AI Unleashed series. There's a community being set up called Foundry. It's set up to offer product development courses, peer support, collaboration groups, live Q&A, sort of like this one. And then there's a space for resource sharing and project feedback. The intent of this video is to help you learn, grow and build. We're doing it together. I'm sort of diving into this after a number of years spent managing the development of big projects, but it's with AI, you can actually jump in and do it. So it's fantastic. So jump on, join up one of our events, and you'll get to sort of watch it live, or you can see the video sort of wrap up afterwards. The live videos from these sessions are being posted on YouTube, and a summary is being posted as well. So the key message of each one will be there. And then what there is in addition to this is this Go Get AI, and that's where there's courses and training, some mentorship, and some project development, if that's what you're after. That's at that location there. So that's kind of the video we've got. As I said, we've managed to get a fairly cool little working app up and running within a very short amount of time. We've got the ability for you guys to follow the full code review and sort of see what's there. And if you want, reach out and I can take you through some of this stuff. The code is it's quite good production quality code that's been developed, and although it was done quickly, there's the approach that I'm outlining here is one which will scale as projects get larger. So this isn't designed just for toy problems. This is designed to enable you to develop applications at scale. So I hope to see you on some of the live videos coming forward, or if not, enjoy the growing library of tutorials around how all this works. And if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, and happy to have a chat. Thanks very much.